In this video, we're going to talk about citing your sources. We've already had some discussion around when you're conducting research and you're going to be capturing information to put into things like your proposals or reports to provide evidence to better support your arguments or your findings. More importantly, to convince people that what you are saying is based on fact, and again, not just based on your personal opinion, which is really important to forming an argument. Now, when we do that, though, we need to make sure that we are citing our sources, or basically providing credit to the people or the groups or the organizations who have created the original content or the original idea. And a reason for that is, number one, honesty. We want to be honest and show that this is not our work and this is not our idea. Number two, attribution and respect. So you want to be respecting the original author or the entity that came up with the original content or concept. And then third, clarity. You want to give your reader the clarity to know what is your idea versus what is somebody else's idea. And again, it's not something to be scared of. If anything, if you provide great sources, your audience then is going to trust you more as an author, and it's going to provide you with more credibility as well, where people will actually say, wow, this person did some great research and their ideas are definitely supported by others that are out there, or they have strong recommendations based on some strong evidence and fact as well. So two core aspects of how to cite are, number one, in-text citations and what we call references or works cited. Okay. Now, let's take a look at when we actually need to do either of these. An in-text citation is whenever you're writing a paragraph, for example, and then you put in the source in a bracket at the end of a sentence. So you're writing a paragraph, you include a quote. At the end of that quote, you're going to put in brackets where the sources come from. That's what we call an in-text citation. And then at the end of your document, there's a works cited or a references listing where you put more details about the source that was used. That's what we call by the works cited or references area. Now, the biggest question is, when do we even need to cite information? At least in North America, these are the practices that we follow. Number one, if you're directly quoting someone, you need to cite it. If you're paraphrasing a statement, you need to cite it. And if you're borrowing an idea, you need to cite it as well. Let's take a look at an example. So, let's just say that you are writing an introduction about IKEA, the company, the global company that manufactures any household item you could probably think of, okay? And so you come across their website and you find this particular paragraph. So this is already published on their website. Their marketing team has put this together, and you can easily take this and put it into your paper. But there's a couple things we have to think about. So let's take a look. This is the original at the top. So we're a value-driven company with a passion for life at home. I really like that sentence. And I actually think that I can't write it any better. So I'm just going to take that and put it into my paper. So you can see what I've done is below. I've said, I can't say we are because it's not about me, but instead IKEA is. And then I've copied the rest of the sentence, right? A value-driven company with a passion for life at home. That is what we call a direct quote, even though I've replaced a couple of words at the beginning. So instead of we are, I say IKEA is. Everything that's bolded here is still copied and pasted below. It's a direct copy and paste. In that particular case, I need to reference this. I have to cite it because it's not my own words. And so what I will do is I will put quotation marks around the pieces that I've cited. Okay, so you'll see IKEA is, I wrote that myself, so I don't have to put quotes around it. But everything else was copied. And then at the end of that sentence, I put in brackets, very briefly, what the source was. Now in this case, I don't have a date on when the website was published, so I put ND for no date. If you go to the KPU library website and you just type in APA, you'll find a great APA guide that comes up that will tell you how you can actually put different formatting in for different types of sources. I've also got a link on our Moodle site to that on the main page. Then what you'll also see is in the reference list, you're going to put the full listing of where you actually retrieve that information. So a shorter listing goes within your text, And then at the end of your document in your reference list, that's where you put the full reference. Now let's look at what we call a paraphrase statement. So what I've done is, you'll see I've taken the original here and I've said, okay, I want to try and put this in my own words because I think that I can word it a little bit differently. So you'll see here in the first example of my revision, I've said IKEA is a price-sensitive organization with a zest for living at the household. And you'll see here what I've done is I've highlighted, I've taken value-driven and I've replaced that with price-sensitive. I've taken company and I've replaced it with organization. I've taken with a passion and replaced it with a zest. And I've taken for life at home and replaced it with for living at the household. Now, if we were in class in person, I would ask you to raise your hand if you think that this is an appropriate paraphrase. And then I might surprise some of you when I were to tell you that that is not a correct paraphrase. Paraphrasing is not simply taking what other people have written and just replacing the words. Paraphrasing is about restructuring the sentence and making it something completely different and completely unique so that we know that it's your idea and it's put in your own words and your own phrasing. So if you were to submit a paper to me and I were to find this as one example, I would actually mark you down for plagiarizing in that sense, because you're basically just copying what someone else has said and you're just simply taking the exact same sentence structure and just substituting words, okay? So you'll see here, that would not be okay. Please do not do this. Instead, you'll see my second example. I've rephrased it entirely. The only thing that I have included is value driven. That is the only similar statement or word that I've used. So I've said here, IKEA is a company, well, company I've also used, but IKEA is a company that places significant focus on being value driven. Okay? So you'll see, I would say at least 90% of this sentence is original. It's still kind of going with the same idea of what's written above, but it's written in my own words and in my own way. So the second is actually an example of a proper paraphrase. But because I've paraphrased it, I haven't taken every word and copied it. I've only really taken the word company and the term value driven. The rest of it is all my own words. So I don't need to put quotation marks around it. But what I do need to do is at the very end of the sentence, I need to tell my reader, this is not my idea. I didn't just make this up. I don't just know that IKEA places significant focus on value driven. I found that information somewhere else and I got that idea somewhere else. So I need to put what we call a parenthetical reference at the end. And so you'll see I haven't put the actual sentence itself in quotes, but I have indicated where the source is from. And then again, in the reference list at the very back of my document, I'm going to put the full reference listing there. Okay? Now, if we're also going to borrow an idea, so you'll see here, I saw the fact that, okay, they're in 29 countries and they have more than 355 stores. Well, that tells me they're pretty much all around the world. So what I'm going to, excuse me, what I'm going to write in my paragraph is I'm going to say, IKEA is a global company that is in nearly 30 countries around the world. So this isn't really a paraphrase either. What I'm doing though is I'm borrowing an idea because I'm knowing that they're saying here, they're in almost 30 countries. So they're in 29 countries. That's almost 30. So I'm saying here nearly 30, right? Sorry. And so I am putting this in my own words as well. But I'm still borrowing the idea because I don't just know. I didn't just wake up today and say, hey, I'm pretty sure that IKEA is in nearly 30 countries. So I'm just going to write that down. No, I did some research. I found it on their website. Okay. So as a result of that, again, I need to put a parenthetical reference at the end of my sentence to show that this is factual information. I found this information from somewhere else. And so I'm putting it into my paper or my report. And then again, at the very end, I'm including a reference in my appendix, or sorry, in my